And okay, we're back. My pack, my tribe. Okay, so during that little break, I thought I would cool down, but I just thought of something else. And once again, I'm not going to say the individual's name because I'm not sinking to that level, but I will say this one last thing, and then I'm not talking about it anymore, and we'll continue on with tonight's show. The worst fucking thing you can do to a recovered addict is throw their addiction in their face. Especially if they're recovered. Because that is like throwing the past continuously in their face, even though they've overcome it. And just know, to those people that have done that to me in the recent past, that there's a special fucking place in hell for you. Alright, rant over. Anyways, on with tonight's show. So, yeah, like I was describing before, like, the way that they actually look, demons, I mean, it is pretty much undescribable. I mean, because it's so, I can't even describe it. It just makes no sense what I actually see when I see them. It's so chaotic, which is kind of perfect for them because that's what they are. They're chaos. Um, However, on the opposite side of that, angels don't make any sense to me either the way that I see them, except somehow they're beautiful and there's actually order to it. And once again, other than that, I can't really describe it other than to say with angels they kind of like glow. Um, but anyhow, so when dealing with demons, there's two important things I think everybody should do. Uh, Unless, of course, you're atheist, and then, sorry, don't know what to tell you. Um, you should embrace your higher power, whatever that is. Whether it's the Christian God or Jesus Christ, whether it's Buddha or Uniqua, the Great Spirit, um, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Um, the big double dipped ice cream cone in the sky, if you please. It doesn't matter. But whatever it is that you have faith in it, and what I mean is like absolute faith, unshakable faith in whatever it is, cling on to that. That's number one. And number two, let those ugly motherfuckers know that you mean business and you will not budge. In fact, that is the only time, in my opinion, when provoking is okay. Because they feed on fear. And if you're showing that you're not afraid of them, as long as also in your heart you're not afraid of them. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's okay to feel fear. It's not okay to be afraid of them. It's okay to be afraid of what they could do. It's okay to be afraid of the people around you maybe that they could hurt, but it is not okay to be afraid of them. Stand up to them like you would to a bully. Stand up to them. Because in the end, that's what's going to get you through. And if you can't do those things, completely remove yourself from the situation. If you can't do that and you've got something demonic in your house, fucking move. Seriously. Or remove yourself from the situation long enough for somebody else to come in and deal with it. One of the two. And if nobody can deal with it, then, well, I would say move. And I know that probably sounds kind of extreme, but I mean, it's true. Because if you cannot be unafraid, if you cannot have absolute faith in something to deal with it, you're only going to make it worse. Now, here's something to clarify. There are three forms of what I call spiritual manipulation. Okay? There's attachments. Okay? What an attachment is pretty much what it sounds like. They're not possessing you, but they are attached to you. They go where you go. Now, there's a couple of different forms of attachment. There's malignant, which is your darker, more negative type. There's indifferent, meaning that they're attached to you, but they really don't do anything, one way or the other. And then there's benign, or beneficial, might be a better term. These are ones that are attached to you to actually create opportunities. They can even cause good things to actually happen. Some could refer to these and wouldn't entirely be wrong if they called them angels or guardian angels. So there's attachments. Then there's oppression. Oppression happens with negative spirits only. Good spirits would never oppress you. Well, actually, I can't say that. If you were being possessed or otherwise manipulated by an evil spirit, one of these good ones might oppress you, but they're not really oppressing you. They're oppressing whatever is evil attached to you or possessing you or whatever. And what oppression actually is, to be clear, oppression usually takes place as kind of a precursor to absolute possession. And when dealing with evil spirits or demonic spirits, what we're talking about here is usually manifested in ways that would be described in psychological terms as depression, aggression, anger, um, sometimes even indifference. And it starts to affect your life and therefore affect those around you. To give you an example of this, I'm going to tell you a story. I met somebody in my work as a paranormal investigator. Must have been like a dozen years ago. Easily a dozen years ago, possibly more. Um, and he had been oppressed by a spirit for 7 years, to the point where he he lost custody of his children. He had uh, several relationships end. Um, three of them were marriages. He had trouble getting along with people that genuinely cared about him. He basically alienated pretty much everybody from his life. And for 7 years, 7 long years, he kept it somehow from becoming full on possession. And the reason I know this is because he told me. After he was exorcised. Because after 7 long years, it finally got in. Whether that was planned that way because of the number 7, or, whether it was done by design, or whether it was just incidental, I don't know. I can tell you, I wasn't actually there for that part. So, some of my information on this particular individual is secondhand, and I'm not going to say his name because I know he wouldn't want me to. I will say that today he's a very good man, and he is now celebrating his, I want to say, 8th anniversary. No, maybe. Yeah, so it would have been like 15 years ago. So he's celebrating his 8th anniversary. Um, he's celebrating, uh, well, let's see, it would have been back in, I want to say September of last year. He just had a new baby. And he's got all his shit together. He's a responsible, hardworking adult. His wife is fucking awesome. And all this stuff, but it so easily could have gone wrong because he, during those 7 years of oppression, kept looking for help. Now, mind you, I didn't know him those 7 years. And when I did get to meet him, I never met him personally. All of our correspondence was over the internet. but we did strike up something of a friendship, and he told me all this stuff. But for 7 long years, he was looking for help, and he went through every basically Christian uh, denomination there is. I mean, pretty much. I mean, like, he contacted a Baptist preacher, he couldn't help. He contacted a Lutheran minister, he couldn't help. He contacted a Catholic priest, he couldn't help. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And none of them could help him. He started looking into Buddhist monks, and he actually did contact a shaman friend of mine, um, and he probably could have helped, but he didn't feel skilled enough to help this guy. Um, he basically went to every religion there was, a Jewish rabbi, and it goes on and on and on. And nobody could help him. It's not that they didn't want to help him, nobody could help him. For whatever reason, they couldn't help him. I think a couple didn't even want to try. Um, but I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm just saying. Uh, so for 7 long years he went through all this, and for 7 long years he held it back. That's the thing that impressed me the most about this guy. With no help, he held it off for 7 years. Do you understand the kind of fucking willpower you have to hold off something like this for 7 years unaided? That's crazy. That is absolutely insane. I don't think I could do that. If I wasn't who I was and wasn't gifted the way I was and all that. Like I have strong willpower, is what I'm saying, but I don't think I could go for 7 years without help in that situation. 7 years. So yeah, he absolutely amazes me. And the really cool thing, aside from that, of course, the really cool thing about this guy is he now travels basically the world, going to speaking engagements, conventions, like Paracons and stuff, talking about his experience. In fact, I think he wrote a book. And I would tell you the name of the book, but that would give it away, who I'm talking about. And I don't want to put him on the spot. Um, but it's fucking amazing. It blows me away. 7 years. We're talking about 7 years of being oppressed, made to feel like you're not good enough, made to be sad, depressed, made to be angry, made to be, just basically a miserable human being, like every day for 7 years. And yeah, he did pay for it. He lost out on relationships. He lost out on jobs. He lost out on a lot of stuff because of this. But somehow he maintained his grip on humanity for 7 years. That's just astounding. But yes, so oppression is bad. And as bad as oppression is, possession is worse. Because, and here's why, oppression, it can kill you in the sense that if you get depressed enough, you'll kill yourself. But possession can actually kill you. There's actually been cases where, like, somebody was possessed and died because they broke their own neck or back or, somehow jumped from a building. I seem to remember somebody actually jumped from a building during an exorcism. Um, but the point is like it can actually kill you. And what possession actually is when, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing, by the way. A lot of psychic mediums are possessed on a regular basis as part of their work. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be possessed. There is good possession. But we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about evil, demonic possession. Very, very bad. Because what it does, you are not only not in control of your thoughts, your emotions, you're no longer in control of your body. And those two combined can be a very bad thing. I believe, I can't prove it, obviously, but I believe that several murder-suicides happen because of possession. Of course, that's just a theory because, like I said, I can't prove it. The only way I could prove it would be to, live through it. And I'm not signing up for that particular detail. No, thank you. And some are worse than others. I've done exorcisms a few times. And by a few, I mean maybe maybe 8 times in 27 years, I think. 26 years. Yeah, 26 years. Will be 27 this year. It'll be 27 this year. Um, but maybe 8 times I've had to do exorcisms. I've actually dealt with demonic possession. So once again, in my experience, it's not all that common. It doesn't happen as often as like movies and TV would have you believe. At least in my experience. Now, I don't know what other people's experiences are. It could very well happen to, certain people like all the time, for all I know. But I'm just saying that, in a 26 year or 27-year career, I've only dealt with it 8 times. And all of them were bad, but 2 of them I can think of were the worst. And to describe what I mean by that, the worst one, and yet again, not going to say the individual's name, but this person was possessed to the point where literally their own mother couldn't recognize them because it changed their face. Um, Creepiest thing I've ever seen. They were actually kind of like spider walking, I guess you could say. Like, there's one guy in the WWE wrestler. He's a wrestler that does it as a part of his act. And if you've ever watched it, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like spider walk where their back is arched and their head is kind of looking at you upside down. It's fucking creepy looking, is the point. And it's incredibly dangerous for the possessed individual because, there's all sorts of things that can go wrong at that point. Because it's not like the demon stretches before they do it. So, they could break somebody's back. All sorts of shit can go wrong. He actually did levitate at one point. I actually wasn't there for that part of it, but it was documented. I actually saw video of it. And they had already tried, before I got there. Literally, it's kind of funny because this is kind of how it went down. Um, when I was going in, a Catholic priest was coming out. So it was almost literally like tag team, um, and I give a lot of credit to that Catholic priest, and once again, not going to say his name because I try not to do that because I don't necessarily have their permission to say their name, first of all, and I'm not looking to get sued. And 2, I don't want to embarrass anybody unnecessarily. So, yeah. Anyways, so I give a lot of credit to him because, like he didn't get the job done, as in he didn't get the demon, out of the possessed individual, but he did an excellent job because he kept it sort of, I guess, like calm would be the right word. He kept it contained. And it was only really the luck of the draw that I was able to draw the demon out. And here's why. And this is something that, as far as I know, has never been even theorized about on a TV show. It's never uh, been brought up in a movie that I'm aware of. In fact, I don't think even on paranormal shows it's even been discussed. And once again, my famous disclaimer. This is in my experience. So if you have a different opinion, that's great. That's your opinion. If your experiences are different than mine, that's great. Those are your experiences. I'm talking about strictly in mine. In my experience, demons, as well as any spirit, is cultural just like people are. What I mean by that is there might be a demon out there that I have to go deal with, in this hypothetical situation. And I try everything I know to do, and it doesn't work. So I call up Father Joe, the Catholic priest, and Father Joe comes down and deals with it, and it works. Well, what's the difference? Is it because he's Catholic and I'm, savage heathen? No. That's not the difference. The difference is that demon is in the wheelhouse of a Catholic priest. He respects, even though he hates it, he respects and has to play by the rules of Catholicism. And probably Christianity at that point, too. But there are also demons that have to follow the rules of Native American beliefs, Buddhists, Wiccans, and the list goes on and on. Basically, every belief system has these demonic or evil entities that are in their wheelhouse. That's not to say that any one is better than the other. It's just that in this particular case, what they were dealing with happened to respect mine. Which makes a certain kind of sense, because what caused the whole thing to go down anyways was their home was built on burial land. And so, I dealt with it, and it was gone, and that was that. I had to draw it out of the person, which I'm not going to get into the whole ritual because it's very long and drawn out, and I don't have 2 more hours to get into it. And then I cleansed the house afterwards to completely remove the spirit from the home. And that I will describe to you, because I've had a lot of questions about it. The particular Native American ritual that I use is Cherokee, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I say and what it means. What I say, and I say part of it in English, by the way, and that's usually for the benefit of like the homeowner, so that they get a sense of what it is I'm doing. Just on the off chance that problem should return, they kind of know what to do. But what I say is, Uniqua, creator of all worlds, grant us your blessings and protect us from evil. Uniqua, creator of all worlds, grant us your blessings and protect us from evil. Uniqua is the Cherokee word for the Great Spirit, the Creator. What Christians would call God. And ultimately, and once again, my opinion, ultimately, whether you call it God or whatever, or the Great Spirit, it's all the same thing, just tailored to different cultures. Because, and this is one thing I think a lot of Christians have failed to understand. With so many different cultures, with so many different kinds of people from all over the world, it is unrealistic to expect all of them to believe exactly the same thing. But one thing every culture does have in common is a belief in good and evil. So I don't believe in my heart of hearts that it matters whether you're Baptist or Native or Buddhist or Hindu. It doesn't matter. What matters is your heart, and are you a good person? Are you a strong-willed person? Are you, uh, let's say, anointed by your beliefs, by your or by design to face evil and win? That's what matters. Not the different beliefs. The different beliefs are just that. They're different beliefs for different people. Why should I matter what I call it over what you call it? It doesn't matter. The only thing that really matters in the moment, trust me on this, and I've even had Catholic priests agree with me on this part. The only thing that truly matters in that moment is your faith and your intent. That's it. But faith is an easy word to say, but it's a hard thing to come by. Because you either have it or you don't. And a lot of people think they have it until they face evil. And then they're not quite so sure. And it's in those moments when you're vulnerable and they try and manipulate it. That's why there are only a handful of exorcists, really. Um, and, well, not quite a handful. There's more than that. But the point is they're not really what you would call commonplace either. Even in the Catholic Church, which, was famous for doing exorcisms, even though exorcisms have been performed by religions far older for thousands of years. Um, but even in the Catholic Church, out of like everybody in the Vatican, there was a team of maybe like 12 exorcists to handle cases all over the world. Might have been more than that, but I think you get my point. Because not everybody has that iron will. Not everybody has that unshakable faith. Not that saying if you don't have those things that you're not as good a human being or there's something wrong with you. There isn't. It's just a statement of fact. Not everybody has it. Not everybody can play baseball. Not everybody has a 400 batting average. And that's okay because everybody's got their own strengths and weaknesses. So, uh, yeah, don't think that I'm trying to say that I'm better than anybody else or anybody else is better than me. We're just different. Okay, hold on. Okay, I just had to check the time on Spreaker. I've got about 5 minutes left, folks. Oh, yeah, sorry. I have to go back and answer a question Good friend of mine from Palace Chat just asked me, Raven, just asked, don't it depend on the fear you have? Um, yes, fear is always a factor. Um, and fear, by the way, or the lack thereof, depending on the particular case and the particular individual, is actually a part of this unshakable faith. And that also differs from individual to individual. For example, a Catholic priest might feel fear in that moment, but his faith is absolute because the fear is actually fueling his faith and his defenses. Now, me personally, I don't really feel any fear. Like, when dealing with the demonic, I just don't feel, I'm not afraid of them because I know that I've already won. It's just a matter of time. Because I know that my faith in my abilities, in my spiritual beliefs, and in myself are absolute. But having said that, don't ever think that fear is a bad thing. It absolutely is not a bad thing. Fear is the reason why our species has survived this long. Fear is actually a very good, healthy thing as long as it does not paralyze you from doing what you know to be right in any given situation, paranormal or otherwise. Okay, folks, I've got 2 minutes left. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Do not forget to tune in tomorrow night at 11. Um, we're going to be talking about some of my favorite things. We're going to be talking about cryptozoology. That's right, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Jersey Devil, the Yeti, and we're also going to be talking about another favorite subject of mine. Well, actually, not of mine. It is up there, but uh, it is actually the favorite subject of a former friend, I guess you could say. But it is something I enjoy talking about. We're going to be talking about UFOs. And we're going to be talking about the mystery of the Anasazi ruins and how the Anasazi tribe of Native Americans disappeared overnight. Until next time, my pack, my tribe, peace out.